Hello everyone, Kent Bressler here. I want to welcome you to Kent's Kidney Stories. During our time together over these podcasts, I'd like to discuss kidney disease. I'd like to tell you about my journey as a transplant patient, but also talk about dialysis, kidney donation, and just about anything else that might be of interest. Kent's Kidney Stories, podcast endorsed and sponsored by kidneysolutions.org.
Hello, everybody. This is Kent Bressler coming to you to a beautiful Kerrville, Texas, where we're enjoying tremendous spring weather. And I haven't been podcasting very much because my wife, Catherine, is recovering from knee surgery, which is going very, very well. So she released me from that kind of duty so I can start doing more podcasting, and I'm looking forward to it. I had a great guest today, and we'll get to her story in just a few minutes. I just wanted to start with prayer this morning if we could. Lord, my body is a precious gift, but it sometimes experiences pain and illness. I pray for your divine healing touch to restore me to full health. Please strengthen my body, my mind, and my spirit as I recover. Thank you for the medical professionals and caregivers who support me and all of us during this time. With your guidance and their expertise, I trust in a complete healing. I ask all of this in your holy name, dear Lord. Amen. Well, we've really gotten into a point where Kidney Solutions has taken off, and I must report that I'm very happy about it. We have a great group of volunteers that are helping make this organization run, and we're helping a lot of people, which is designed, Kidney Solutions is designed specifically for that. Patient-focused, patient-centered, and always thinking about the patient, and we're free. No fees, no add-ons, no surprises. When we take you on as a patient or as become a friend and you become part of the family, I want you to understand that this is all free. You'll never be charged anything from Kidney Solutions, as will the donors. And remember, we're a mentoring organization, and we're not donor hunters. So any application of ways to find donors, we can help you with that. We want to help you with that, and we will help you with that. But you must remember that that's up to you. God sends them, you take him, you praise him, thank him for it. So here's a couple announcements real quickly. Monday night support group at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time has exploded, and we really encourage you to, if you're interested in the support group, all you have to do is go to kidneysolutions.org and leave your email, and I will invite you in for every session. About an hour, sometimes hour and a half, but it's really a fun time. I really, really enjoy it. It gives me a lot of support too. And then I wanted to let you know to watch out for our kidney walk, which comes up April 13th at Schreiner University in Kerrville, Texas. And we'll have online donation centers for you too. Another thing that I really want to talk to you very quickly about this morning is mentoring. As we are a mentoring organization, if you've had a transplant, we would like you to be available to mentor others who are searching and wanting to find a kidney, but they're also needing a lot of support, and just one night a week is not enough. They need someone like you and I to help them along the road. Transplant teams are very, very busy, and the support we give, even though it's free, it's very valuable, and we vet all of our information. So please think about being a mentor for us. Give us a call. 830-285-2140. Okay, enough of that shenanigans. I want to get started this morning because I met somebody online that, matter of fact, I didn't meet her online. She emailed me, of all things.
Yes.
And I want to introduce you to Amy Makovic.
Yes.
She's a poet and a professor of English, currently living in Austin, Texas. And that's a good deal because that's only 90 miles from me, and we're going to connect.
Right.
And she has published 3 books of poetry, as well as her own memoir. And that contains recycled parts. That's the title of it. Pretty cool title. Okay, we're going to talk to her today about her triple transplant journey. And that was during the pandemic. So I'm looking really, really, really forward to this. Amy, welcome. Gee whiz, it's good to see you.
Great to be here. Great to connect with you.
Yeah. We got this under control. Trust me, this is going to be a fun ride.
Yes.
And you're the first one back since I've started this
Great.
podcast. I've been out, so this is really joyful for me. It really sets me off. I get a good feeling from doing these. So, when you started your journey, you've had three transplants. So, kind of give me a hodgepodge overview of everything, and tell me your story.
Yes, I'll try to do the semi short version. I was diagnosed with a heart defect at birth. Fast forward 44 years, and I went into heart and liver failure, and so that necessitated a heart and liver transplant. And because of that major surgery, and before the transplant, I was put on a machine called ECMO machine, which was their last ditch effort to keep me alive to get to transplant. So the ECMO machine combined with that transplant really killed my kidneys. So then it was a year and a half later, I underwent a kidney transplant. So I had 2 surgeries, but three different organs transplanted. So yeah, so that's the short version.
That's amazing. I mean, holy mackerel, 3 transplants. I've had mine for 36 years, my kidney transplant.
I was just listening to your story and I went, wow, well, now it's 36 years now, but I was like, wow, that is amazing.
You're amazing. I can't imagine. How old were you when this all started? Really, when you found out?
Yes. Well, we found out about the defect at birth, and I was and I went and underwent my first heart surgery at 15 months, where they put a little pulmonary banding around the pulmonary artery just to restrict blood flow to the lungs. And that kept me going for 22 years. So then when I graduated from college, they said, okay, you're big enough and you want to move on with your life. Let's see if we can repair it. And when they went in to repair it, they could not, but they did what it was called as a Fontan procedure, which my mother will tell you that they then discussed a transplant in that pre-op consultation, but I had put that out of my mind. So then when I was 44 years and went into heart and liver failure, and the doctor said the word transplant, I was shocked. And Mom was like, Amy, no, like this is always down the line a possibility. So that's so I'd been dealing with cardiac issues my whole life, but they really hadn't, besides the 2 surgeries, I was lucky that they didn't slow me down too much until they did.
Well, they whoever did it did a good job.
They did a great job. Yes.
This heart transplant, well, actually known a couple friends that have had issues with their heart, had issues early on, and it seems to cascade in, a little mitral valve here or there, but some of these, congenital deformities, they can really be tragically hard on individuals, and the lifespan's not very good.
Right.
So you're really blessed.
I am very blessed indeed. Yes. And I was lucky enough, I was blessed again when I was here in Austin, actually, when I found out about heart and liver failure. And so the wonderful surgeon who had done my surgery at 22 years, Dr. Charles Frazier, is in Dell Children's Medical Center here. And he
Oh,
said,
wow.
yeah, and he said, we've got to get you somewhere else because they couldn't, he said, I can't, we're not set up to perform transplants, especially a double. I need a heart and a liver. He said, you're way too complex for us. So they got me out to Stanford where I underwent my heart and liver transplant. They said, get her out here. We think we can really help her. And they did.
No, they embraced you. They wanted to work
They,
with you. They weren't afraid of you at all, were
they
they?
wanted me. They said, we want these complex cases. Yes. Yeah.
Did you think you were a complex case at that age? You could understand.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I knew that. I mean, I know obviously other people have, heart issues or other
Sure.
defects, but I
Sure.
was, yeah, I was always I was sort of, they always said the Amy factor. There's always something different. Like whatever was supposed to happen, I would do that. My body would do the opposite. So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
constantly trying to figure that out.
Did you go through any depression? Did you actually feel
Oh,
emotionally drained and just
well,
absolutely wanted to
ab
give up?
absolutely. Like after post transplant. But by the way, as you mentioned, so I had my transplant in December of 2019. So then March of 2020, of course, is when the world shut down.
COVID. God.
And my mom, who had been with me in the hospital all that time, she had to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was after she left that I did go. Of course, I didn't think I was depressed at the time. I'm like, I'm in the hospital, I'm recovering. Of course, I'm sad.
Yeah.
But my mom over FaceTime, she was like, Amy, she was like, you got to do something. So, yes, so I talked to somebody and they put me on Lexapro, a very small dose, which I still take. And it was about a month after that, I was put a Facebook post. I'm like, I feel great. I feel great now. And my mom was like, yes, that's the Lexapro.
That's
Yes,
Alexa Pro talk.
exactly. But yes, I did go through depression. And of course, sometimes when you have it, you don't think you're depressed, but I absolutely was. And yeah. Yeah.
So so this entire process that you've gone through
Mhm.
is just, I guess I can minimize it by saying it's a body adjustment. Your
Yeah.
body completely adjusts, and that's what everybody's body does to
Yeah.
survive, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I think that I have a very good friend out in New York, and she's battled some issues, mental issues, and give a shout out to her. Because she's so tough, and she advocates for people to get diagnosed, get
Yes.
help and get
Yes.
smart. And
Yes.
and her name's Joy, and that's exactly what she provides people, joy with her attitude.
Absolutely.
Um, so when you first found out about the failure of your liver and your heart, to get both of them at the same time, how did that transpire? How did that work?
That's kind of a fascinating story. Yes. So when they found out, they knew for sure I needed a heart transplant, and then it was a couple days later they figured out that I also needed a liver. So Stanford is doing and was doing what they call an unblock procedure, where they actually take the heart and liver of the donor as a single unit
Yeah.
and transplant that. So yes, so it was one kind of massive
Uh,
surgery.
how long did it take?
The surgery took about 18 hours.
Oh, wow. And they had two
Yeah.
teams, one for the
Two
heart
teams. I mean, there were
and
probably
one for the
about
liver.
20 people in the OR. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Heart,
that's 40 pairs of hands.
totally. Yep. Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing to me how, you
Yeah.
just think of a simple, i.e.,
Right.
simple kidney
Yep.
transplant. That's
Right.
one thing. But
Right.
to have a liver transplant, that's entirely different. And to have a heart transplant,
Yeah.
that is pretty scary. I mean,
Right.
think about a heart transplant.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have any thoughts when you went in that you might not wake up?
Well, my one of my friends before when I was still here in Austin, getting ready to be flown out to Stanford, she asked me, she was like, how do you feel about having a heart transplant? And I kind of laughed. I was like, well, I don't really have a choice. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, not like I can decline it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I need to have it. So,
I have to
what
have
are you
it.
going to do?
So
Yeah.
exactly. So to me, I didn't fret too much. I was like, it has to happen. So I'm gonna have to deal with whatever happens. Yeah, so I was kind of, it sounds very strange, but I was excited for it. I was like, okay, my body is shutting down. So if I can get the surgery to, feel better and continue, then absolutely. Yeah.
Did you have any talks with God?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I loved it. By the way, that's a great little segue. I loved your prayer in the beginning because you talked to God, but you also mentioned the doctors and the nurses. And I think my whole thing is that I feel like God and us humans, we work together, right? It wasn't just God that healed me. It wasn't just the nurses.
Mm-mm.
It was both. It was all of us. So yeah, so I absolutely talked to God and just said, please look over me, please look over the doctors, please do what you feel is best. And yeah, and it was very simple, but yeah, absolutely.
Simply put, he provides everything. And
Exactly.
then you're
Yeah,
just a classic example of his feelings for the individual.
right.
And he has a plan, and that plan has really worked out for you.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
worked out well.
Yeah.
But there's always hope. You provide a lot of hope to people, for crying out loud. When this goes out, and I hope you share it too, and I know you will. These kinds of things that people quote go through,
Mhm.
life threatening, going
Right.
through those. It's not like sudden death. I mean, we're talking lifelong here now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this
And
is well, as you have experienced, this is a lifelong adjustment. There's medications, there's constant. I feel like I'm always making doctor's appointments, just for up, every 3 to 6 months. But yeah, it's a lifelong adjustment, but one that I am more than willing to make to, be here.
so, so let's kind of put this in perspective. The heart and the liver transplant occurred during COVID,
Yes, December of 2019.
December 19th. Holy mackerel, just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so how was the recovery for that?
Whew.
Tell me, give me a little
Yes.
background on recovery.
Yes, that was, and I even told my mom before surgery, I said, you know what? I said, I'm not worried about surgery. I'm worried about the recovery. And
Absolutely.
don't say those things because that's what's going to happen. My recovery was extensive, very extensive
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
tough. Um, and at one point, I asked one of the nurses, I said, because I stayed in the hospital for 11 months after, and I said,
11 months?
11 months. And I asked, I said, have you ever had someone that stayed, was this long? She was like, oh yeah. She's like,
Oh, yeah.
she did. She was like, oh yeah. She's like, you're doing fine. Because it is a massive surgery. So, and I guess I just didn't think it would be quite that long, but the challenge was that I was healing well. Everything was perfect with my heart and liver, but I had been put on a tracheotomy. So,
Yes. Hmm.
and that took me the longest to get weaned off the trach. That was a long process. My lungs from birth had been underdeveloped. And of course, surgery added some strain. So it just took a long time for me to really be able to breathe on my own again.
No pneumonia or
Nope,
anything
no
like that.
pneumonia.
You just were
No,
on. How long were you on a ventilator, a breathing machine?
oh, that I was so about 9 months, a very long time. Uh,
Wow.
and there
Wow.
were a lot of little other what we called medical little potholes that came up that we were constantly sort of dealing with. But in terms of my heart and liver, they were doing well. They were doing great. So I kept thinking, as long as those were doing well, we could get through, kind of whatever was coming up. So
When
yeah.
I was uh, sick with my kidney disease, I met a man who had a heart transplant,
Mm,
and we got to be pretty good friends. But he had to have several, I mean, almost weekly biopsies of his heart
mm.
to see that was the early days, you know.
Right.
That's not happening to you, right?
Well, I did have a few biopsies,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. But now, I mean, I'm 4 years out now.
Yes.
I haven't had one in over a year. So, and it's different now. They can monitor without doing an actual biopsy. They do special echoes and stress tests, nuclear stress tests, so they can
Absolutely.
monitor without doing biopsies. So, again, thankful for Western medicine.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine? You wouldn't be around had it not been for
I
that. That's
know.
just
I
it.
know.
There's
Yeah,
it's I don't know how you put it. You can't put it into words, the feeling you have when you've had something like this. If you
right.
haven't had it, yeah, bless your heart, it's great you didn't, but if you've had a transplant, you're kind of like in a different world yourself.
Right.
Not a special world. You're just in a different you're
Different.
in a different plane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's yes. There's a kind of a special place for people that I think have gone through transplants, that kind of our own little community.
It
Like no,
is.
yeah,
It
no one
is.
really knows what we've gone through unless you've gone through it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's not on anybody else. That's on us. I mean,
Yeah.
we're fortunate to have done it, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're always
Yeah.
reaching out to help others.
Yes.
That's what we do at Kidney Solutions. We're mentoring. We mentor. We're not donor hunters. We're
Right.
mentors.
Right.
And
Yeah.
everybody who's had a transplant in an organization has become mentors. Just nearly every one of them. And
Yeah.
it's a payback issue.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
whatever it is right now, given the fact that you're looking as well and talking as well as
Thank you.
you're just amazing,
Yeah.
right?
So thank you. Yes, I feel really blessed. I feel very healthy, and but that's not without work. I walk,
Oh,
I drink
yeah.
my water every day. Yeah, again, the upkeep, the maintenance. But that is, like I said, something I'm absolutely willing to do.
Well, we're definitely gonna get hold of you. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so we walk down this path where you get this liver and the heart, and you're doing okay. At what point in time did your kidneys fail?
It was really pretty immediately after surgery.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was, so I had surgery in December. By early January, they put in a catheter for dialysis.
Dialysis, sure
Yeah,
enough.
and I started dialysis in the hospital while I was there, three times a week for 3 hours. And it was, they came to the room. I didn't have to go anywhere, but,
Sure.
it was a chunk of time, 3 times a week. Um, so yeah, and that continued all through when I was in the hospital, and then when I was released, I continued, at a local dialysis center until my kidney transplant. In
Did you need a deceased donor or a living donor?
I had a deceased donor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did the thought ever cross your mind of searching for or working about getting a living donor? Was that
Uh,
approached?
a little bit. My mom and I kind of talked about, well, maybe my brother, but my brother had a wife and he has 4 kids. And so we're like, I don't,
I understand.
yeah, I was like, I don't want to go down. And Sanford made it sound like I would be actually quicker with a deceased donor. I was lucky because I had had a liver transplant. I got bumped up the list a little bit because I'd had a previous transplant.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so my wait wasn't as long as it was going to be if it was just a kidney. Um, so yeah, so we just kind of decided that a deceased donor would be the way to go.
This is not a callous thought either. If you think about the investment and the time and the effort you've put into that liver and kidney or liver and heart transplant, and
Mhm.
the time they invested, having you know, while away for years on dialysis doesn't make any sense. So I think anybody who's listening to this would say, "Gosh, I'm sure glad they bumped you up."
Right.
And
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
should not feel bad about that at all.
No. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's no
Thanks.
reservations here, none
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
coming from me or the community. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure that crossed your mind. But listen,
Right.
there there is a tremendous amount of folks that are looking for kidneys just alone. And
Yeah.
then just think of the folks that die waiting on a liver. And
Yeah.
then, I mean,
Yeah.
it's monumental. It's getting harder and harder and harder to find donors in this
Yeah.
society. And it should be getting easier,
Right.
but it's not.
Right. Right. I mean, I know there are, every year they're doing more and more transplants, but that just causes a need for more. We need more donors. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, my brother gave me my kidney.
Yes.
I gave me his kidney. Let's put it that way. And all of the things that it has done, allowed me to do, it's never been my kidney. It's always been his.
And I
How do
love
you
that.
how do you feel about that?
Yes, I love that you said that because I don't, this is not my heart and liver. This is Kristen's heart and liver. I don't know the name of my kidney donor, but it's not my kidney, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I call it they're on permanent loan to me. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
And thus, and I know you want to live. Yeah, duh, everybody
Right,
does, right?
right.
But think about the prospect of losing any of those
Yeah,
because of your not inability, but maybe you didn't take care of him as well as you should. We always constantly battle with this. We
right,
think it's more important to kidney solutions to follow and after the transplant than it is to actually get the transplant.
right. Absolutely. Yeah. The afterwards upkeep goes so far in taking care of that kidney and lengthening the life of that kidney.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I can tell you to give you some hope here, okay? Give you some encouragement. I can put you in touch, well, with a very, very good friend of mine was had a kidney transplant 28 years ago.
Mm,
Deceased
amazing.
donor. Two baby kidneys, we call it. They
Ugh,
actually put two baby kidneys
that's
in,
amazing.
and he grew with it. They grew with him.
Right.
Yeah, his name's Armand Halter, and he's in our support group, and he's been a great friend. But my point here is that it doesn't, it's not all the statistics. This isn't a numbers game. You get
Right.
all of these numbers hanging around. It's how you take care of yourself, and you know, it's very important to make your appointments and do all
Yes.
the things that you need to do and get tested and be careful around others, just paying attention, trying not, you don't want to get sick. All right.
Right. Right.
It, yeah, but
Yeah. Yep.
it's gonna
Yep.
happen.
Yep.
But we always say, if you become symptomatic with something, don't twing around. You being in Austin, you can go right away to the transplant program.
Well,
We can get to it.
yes. Well, it was this December. I did come down with COVID, and so I called my transplant doctor, and it was very mild. I had a very mild case. I was just congested and not feverish, but I just didn't feel great. So I took a test, and I called her and said, "Okay, monitor." She said, "If you ever get a fever, she said if you get a fever, call us right away or come in." But I never had a fever, and after a week, I was better. But yeah, I was a little bit trepidatious during that time. I was like, oh, I hope it doesn't get worse. But
When
I was
was that in? It was that right after the surgery or
no,
within?
this is just this December.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Because the strain of that virus is a lot
Right.
was
Yeah.
has minimized considerably, but
Yeah.
it doesn't minimize the fact that we have something in our bodies that needs to be monitored. You have to watch
Exactly.
out for things like that. And they
Yep.
have treatments now.
Yes. Yes.
They
Exactly.
have treatments. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so when you had the kidney transplant, after you had it and you got off, what is your total medication load for now, for today? What do you put in your mouth to keep
Yeah,
this going?
exactly. Yes. In the morning, I'm on Prograf and mycophenolate and prednisone, and then a bunch of other meds that aren't really transplant related. Baby aspirin. I
Yes,
take I take a thyroid medicine,
yes,
my Lexapro,
yes,
and then a few vitamins.
yeah.
Uh, and then the evening, I take again Prograf, mycophenolate, um, and the not the prednisone, but also acyclovir. I'm on a acyclovir.
Acyclovir. Okay, all right, all
One
right.
of those
And that's
two
an
in the morning.
antiviral. That's
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been on that?
Since transplant, since after
Okay, all
transplant.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the luxuries you get. You get to load up on all the medicine. I
exactly.
mean, it never
Yeah.
goes away. Everybody says,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm healed." Well,
Yeah.
you're not. You got to
No.
take these
No.
medicines. And
But yeah. What
yeah,
about
go ahead.
yourself? I'm just curious what you're on. What is
I'm
your
on. They have. I'm on cyclosporin and prednisone. On
okay?
5 milligrams of prednisone and 75 twice a day of cyclosporin. Now, cyclosporin was one of the first drugs that came out for immunosuppression.
Okay.
And Prograf is like kind of like a derivative of it. It's an advanced portion.
Yeah.
And cyclosporin's been around. That and Imuran. Imuran was actually the very first one. And I have a friend, Bruce Kraft, here in town, lives with, been my mentor, who he's been transplanted for 53 years. And he's been on Imuran and prednisone for that many years. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that medication load is not really bad.
No.
When you left it for your heart and liver, what did they give you did they put you on all of that too? Or
Yes.
was it? Okay. All right. So
yeah.
And
I think there were a few others, but
oh yeah. Oh
weight off. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a multitude of medications,
Yes.
but multitude.
My mom and I had like a list of like, okay, here's
yeah. I have to admit something. I'm going to tell the public here. I forgot my medicine last night.
Uh-oh.
I came this morning to do my morning medications, and the morning medications were underneath my night pills.
Right.
So I thought, well, I didn't take them.
Yeah, I've done that once or twice.
I mean, that's for people that are listening that have had pet transplants, don't freak. It's okay,
Right.
And don't double up.
No.
Please don't double up. Just move on to your next dose, and then
dose.
Yep. There's ways you can fix that. But one of them is not doubling up. Don't want to do that.
Right.
All right. So, but you don't have to panic, because you're not going to die, and you're not going to lose your kidney or your heart or your liver.
Exactly.
So 4 years, that's a long time. You're reaching what I call it the glory year. 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're climbing the mountain, at 5 years, you've crested.
Oh, okay.
And that to me is a very good landmark for you to be. You go and it'll just get better. Every year it gets better. But that's not what you think about, is it? You don't think about how long you're going to live. That's not really in your picture. It's what I'm doing today.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't, I mean, I'm aware that next year is 5 years, but after that, I'm sort of like, no, I just want to keep living. So just day to day, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I have an attitude, and I'm sure this is, you tell me if I'm right or wrong here. I'm of the impression that as long as you're taking care of yourself, totally taking care of yourself, you're in it, you're bought into everything, you're doing what you need to be doing, you should not worry about what's coming or what's been. Whatever happens, you deal with it.
Right. I have the same attitude. It was very funny because growing up, of course, I had heart issues, and my attitude growing up was, okay, I'll let my mom and the doctor take care of it. They tell me what needs to be done, and we'll do it. Right. I never worried that much at all. And
that's amazing, because that's a lot of people don't do that.
Right. I know. I didn't. And even with surgery, I had such extreme confidence in Del Stanford and Charles Frazier, and then Stanford, that I was like, okay, whatever they tell me that needs to be done, they're the experts. I'm gonna trust them. And of course, I didn't expect things to go perfect, but I said, my thought was, whatever hiccups come up, they will adjust. They can take care of those. That's what they're there to do. So so we kind of went into it with that. And even the surgeon told my mother, he said, your job is not to worry. That's our job.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And there's no dumb questions.
Right, exactly. Oh, I had dozens of questions every day.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you swaddled them with it. I mean, it just kind of like
Yep.
Never ending. And then it's like you're sitting there and you think, what if I do this, or can I do that, or what,
Right.
And I think now at this stage of the game, you become a prime candidate for mentors, being a mentor after 4 years.
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, one of the doctors at Stanford, Dr. Louis, who was amazing, he asked me before I even left, he's like, would you ever mind, talking to people that that are pre-transplant? I said, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So I've had a few people over the years, call me and say, Dr. Louie told me to call. I said, oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been extremely wonderful to be in touch with those people and kind of talk them through it a little bit. Yeah,
And well, just knowing they can pick the phone up and call you too
absolutely.
has
Yeah,
got to be.
because we didn't have, that was one of our first questions is there someone that has been through this that we can talk to? We had never, this is the first time we were encountering a transplant, going through it. That was one of our questions was,
Sure.
someone we can talk to that has been through it. So,
Was there?
well, actually, it's amazing. So this is how God works. So one of my first roommates in the double room at Stanford when I first got there was a lady who had just had a transplant a year previously.
Uh-huh.
And she was there just for her yearly biopsy. So we got to chat with her and her husband, which was wonderful. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she had heart and liver?
I think she just had a heart transplant,
Heart. Okay, yeah.
but
Yeah.
still, we were like, we'll take anything, we'll talk
Yeah,
to
really.
somebody. So,
Oh,
yeah, so
I
and we're
can tell you.
still in touch on Facebook.
Oh,
Um,
that's great.
yeah.
Well, as you know, we have well, maybe you don't know, uh, we have a support group on Monday nights.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, it's exploding, and we mostly kidney patients, but it would be really nice to expand that into some heart and liver. I have a couple patients that are have been liver transplants. One of them lives here in town, so
Oh,
I'm well versed on. Yeah, trying to connect all these people so they can communicate. It's very, very important because everybody's got a quirk,
right.
and that yeah, it's really, and they're different. The liver consequences are totally different.
Yeah.
How you get to failure is totally different. In your case, it was,
Yeah.
much different than someone who has Hep C or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to ask you also, I think the medical history we've done real well here. I want to ask about your activities. What do you spurn to do? I know you're a poet. I know
Mhm.
you're a writer. You write a book and
Yes.
everything. Let me ask you what are you doing to maintain your sanity and to progress?
Right. Well, one of my big things that I did pre-transplant, which I'm getting back to, is traveling. I'm a big, big traveler, and there were, 4 or 5 years where I didn't get to do that. So I've started traveling again, which has been really, really fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
Well,
my,
after being incarcerated for a year in the hospital, I
yeah,
would want to do that too.
yeah, yes,
Are there
yeah.
restrictions on your travel? Do they?
Not really, no. They just said, obviously take your meds. Um, but in terms of restrictions, no.
Wow.
So I've been
'Cause-
really lucky. I have not traveled overseas yet, but that's
Yeah.
next to my
Yeah.
list. But yeah.
Yeah. I Oh, this is just personal now. And I'm going to go out on the limb here because I'm going to give you my advice for
Yeah,
what it's worth. You have to be very selective about where you go.
absolutely.
All right. And you know that, right? And so if you're thinking about going somewhere, you need to find somebody who's been
Right.
and look at the conditions and everything. For instance, I have a very good friend, Jim Hess, who is he builds. They dig wells in El Salvador.
Hmm.
He does this as a missionary function,
Right.
and he was transplanted, and now he wants to go back. And I
Hmm.
want him to listen to this
Right.
podcast so he understands that it's okay. You just got to pay attention to what you did.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, that is true. I'm absolutely. One of my destinations has been the Taj Mahal in India.
Oh
You know,
wow,
so now, but now, of course, now I'm sort of like I'm really weighing that. I'm like, do I
yeah.
really need to go? Yeah,
How many how many people in India? How many, and the flight over, and
right, right.
the conditions, the
Yeah,
food, the
yes, yeah,
sanitation, the thing.
yes, yeah,
You have got to plot it out. And so I think what you've been doing is some short jaunts in country right?
Right. Right.
To kind
Yes.
of feel it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I always obviously wear a mask on the planes and in the airports.
Yeah.
But I've been very lucky so far. All my little trips have gone off, without a hitch. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have allergies?
Sometimes it's cedar fever time
I
right now.
was going to ask you if you had
Yep.
cedar fever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing that on our locale, every place has its own little,
Yeah.
allergy seasons, so to
Yeah.
speak. I think the hill country is what, 365 days a year you can be allergic. So,
Exactly. Yeah. It is.
so-
Woo. Yeah.
and then everybody thought, well, this is a great place to move to.
It's
Well,
like,
so
well,
are you working? Do
I
you have a
am.
steady job
Yes. So I teach
other
at
than surviving?
I know, right? Yes. Yeah, I teach at Austin Community College. I teach English composition. And I was
Uh-oh.
lucky. So when I lived here previously, I moved here in 2011 and started teaching. And then when I had to go out to Stanford, I just didn't teach for a while, but I was still employed. So when I moved back, I was able to kind of resume that, which has been really wonderful. They've been very gracious with me.
I
So
don't think you'd have any trouble finding a job.
yeah,
The way you carry yourself, my girl, just
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah.
Um, I just had something fly through my head, and that my elderly brain didn't catch it. I wanted to ask you a question. It'll come to me some other time,
Yeah.
probably at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm.
Right.
So, I what what's your philosophy now? We're about ready to kind of come to an end here. I don't want to, but
Yeah.
have I missed anything? Is there anything that you really want to convey in your heart? You want it in your precious heart. Was there anything you want to share?
No, well, if, this is a, kidney solution podcast, but for anyone going through or facing major medical traumas, I would say, just listen to your doctors and also advocate for yourself. That was a big lesson that my mom and I learned was advocating for me. The doctors know best, but sometimes you have to, push for things or ask for things. But also just take one day at a time, keep living, right? There's always a silver lining, right? If you can find it. That's kind of, I talk a little bit about that in my book too, just being grateful every day for even a little something. There's always something.
That was what I wanted to. That was the question. Tell me about your book. Tell me
Oh,
about the book and how we
yes.
can get it and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yes. So, yes, my book contains recycled parts. It's about my triple transplant journey. I kind of started with from birth, right? A little bit of background, um, growing up and all that. And then the main bulk of the book is about the transplant and the recovery process. And it's just a chronological telling of that
Just,
journey.
I
Well,
haven't read it. I'll admit it, but I'm gonna. It's on my. Tell
yeah.
people how
Yes,
you can get a
go to
hold of it.
it's on Amazon. So if you
Okay.
just Google contains recycled parts book, you'll find it. It's a green and blue cover, which I chose green and blue
Yeah,
for
kidney transplant,
kidney transplant and also organ donation.
organ donation.
Yep. So
Yeah.
yeah, you'll find it. And yeah, it's kind of my story, right? Hopefully my mom's read it a few times and she always cries and she always laughs.
Oh, yeah.
So
Your mom's special.
oh, she is. She's very
Your
special.
mom is special because that's
Yeah.
all you talk about. And
Yeah.
that, gosh, I'm an orphan because of my age. I'm an orphan. So
Um,
take advantage of that woman, please.
yes,
Use
absolutely.
her up because she
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
wants to. Oh, that's just
She
amazing.
got me, I mean, she really got me through it, the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's similar to what my wife did for me, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've been married for 53 years, and there's just no way I could be sitting here without her. There's
Yeah.
no way. And of
Absolutely.
course, my brother.
Right. Right.
But you reached out. Have you reached out to see if you could find out about the donor of your kidney?
I just need to write a letter and
Okay.
get it to Stanford. And yes, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
It's
think that
still,
would be
we're still
great.
in the process of like the letter has to go through UNOS to get
Sure, sure.
sent.
Yeah,
It takes a
yeah,
while,
yeah.
but yes, I'm going to do that.
And that's a good protection. I don't have any problem with that. But you'll believe it or not, that'll give you a lot of grace, if you
Mhm.
will.
Yes,
And it'll make you more joyful if you just have an idea, you know.
yes. Well, and that
And you
I
don't
was sorry, I was just going to say yes. Speaking on that, my mom and I were elated when I did receive a letter back from my heart and liver donor,
yeah.
uh, and that was super wonderful.
Could you share a little
I know I'm
about them?
thinking about that. Well, her name is Kristen. I dedicate the book to her. So,
Ah,
and she was a wonderful 32-year-old gal, working gal in was it Idaho, and she passed from a sudden brain aneurysm. And
ah.
there's nothing that could have been done.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
do you ever have a period of time in this last 4 years where you're sitting and just for no reason you kind of tear up?
oh sure, yeah. I can't count the number of times I've just kind of sat and been like, wow, I'm still alive, like I'm here. Yeah,
And tell you what, I've asked that question to, I think, thousands of people, transplants. Every one of them tells me, well, I was sitting in church and just for some reason the song and it just came over me.
mm,
Or I was sitting in the bus station or in the plane, terminal. I'm sitting there and I'm looking around and just eyeballing people, and all of a sudden I just tear up because I'm here.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's the most important thing people need to realize about transplants. Everybody thinks it's such a big deal.
mhm.
Well, it is,
It
but in
is.
a different way.
Yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely,
You
yeah,
just have it's a general feeling that you can't
yeah.
appreciate unless you've gone through it.
I was just gonna say it's kind of something you can't describe unless
No,
you've gone through
no.
it. Yeah, mhm,
My wife understands it because she'll, in church sometimes it happens a lot in church.
mhm,
And I think or in choir or something comes up
yeah,
or somebody will be talking to me and one of the
right,
patients will be talking to me and I'll go, pardon me,
yeah,
that's sad,
yeah.
or
Well,
if I,
yeah. Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say that. So that, yes, that happened to me. I was on, and it was the first trip had taken after my transplants was a birthday trip to meet a couple of girlfriends in Sedona, and we were just sitting there
oh,
having a glass of wine, and I was just so elated. I was just so overcome. Yeah, I was just, and they were like, "Are you okay?" I was like,
yeah,
"Yeah,
I know.
I'm good. I'm great. We're just here and we're having fun." Yeah.
I remember, I remember when my grandson was born, my youngest grandson. And for some reason, when he came into the picture, I was there the day when he was born, and that boy was weird. I mean, he was weird. Look, he was scrawny and he was all arms and legs. And I just looked at him and I thought, he's good.
Mhm.
He's good. And like right now, I just talking about it makes me feel.
Yeah.
But that's a feeling of being alive.
Right.
And that's the feeling I want to pass on to everybody. I want to
Absolutely.
get everybody transplanted.
Right.
I do. I don't care how or who does it or who comes this or that. I want to, if they come in contact with me, my first feeling is I want to
Yeah.
get you transplanted. I want to
Yes.
be a vehicle for God to supply your donor.
Right. Yes.
And if along the way we get a call from the hospital, don't pass up a kidney.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Oh,
Okay.
that's a funny, so we have time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Got
I was
plenty.
just gonna say that's kind of a funny story. Waiting for my kidney transplant. I was listed and active in March. So I packed a little bag and we waited and we waited. And it was June 12th, And my mom and her significant other, Ralph, had gone away just for a couple nights, and they hadn't been away in, 3 years. And I joked before they left, I said, you know what, you're leaving, so of course Stanford's gonna call. And when you know it, the day after they leave, it was 11:30 at night. My mom's calling me. She's like, so Stanford just called.
Oh,
Yeah. And so it was 11:30. So I called my brother who's living 40 minutes from us. And I said, I'll pick you up and we have to get to Stanford by 7 in the morning. So it was really just, we joke about that all the time, that of course they leave. And that's when
that's
Stanford
what things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. And this comes from my heart. I've met a lot of people, all right? And there's no way in any way patronizing to you. You are special.
Thank you.
You are unbelievably special.
Thank you.
And I don't want to lose contact with you.
No, no.
I want to, whatever you need and I can supply, you'll get. All right. But I don't want to lose contact with you.
No,
You're
no.
too good of a friend now. You're
Yes, I
hooked.
was gonna say, like, I feel like I know you now, and absolutely.
Okay. Well, we got each other's number. And
Yes.
what we're going to do is just tell everybody out there right now that's been going to listen to this. You have choices, but most of all, those choices that you get are your decisions to make, not someone else's. Amy said, got to be your own advocate. And we beat that phrase up all the time, but it's true.
It's true.
So if you look ahead, it's okay. But remember, you need to be in the moment always. You need to be present.
Yes.
Please be present. And don't worry. Don't despair. Pray. But for goodness sake, if you got issues, call your mentor.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to leave you now, Amy.
It's wonderful to talk to you.
Oh, it's great. You made my day. You made my life, really. You really have. And you're going to we get this out there, and I hope that people will share it and share it and share it, because it means a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, folks out there in Kidney Solutions world, I just have one thing to say to you. Keep breathing.